Joining us now, former economic advisor to President Trump, Judy Shelton, and former Moody's chief economist, John Lonski. Judy, first to you. You heard Edward Lawrence's report. You know, over the past 3 months, the U.S. economy created just an average of 8,600 manufacturing jobs per month. That's what Edward Lawrence finds out. There was 41,300 manufacturing jobs for the same time period in 2020 under Trump. Show the Marquette poll on voters saying they trust Trump more than Biden over a multitude of issues. What do you make of what Edward was talking about there, Judy?
Well, I think the voters are wise to feel that way, because for me, when I hear President Biden saying that Bidenomics is all about building from the bottom up and the middle out, he says it's not top down, but there is nothing more trickle down than government spending. And that is the nature of Bidenomics. If you look at that jobs number today and you see what the components are, one of the largest categories was an increase in government jobs. And in fact, if you added up the increase in jobs connected with business services, with retail, with manufacturing and construction, all of those categories together were less than the increase in government jobs. So I think you have a White House and a complicit Congress who are willing to engage in fiscal stimulus only to have the Federal Reserve punish the private sector by raising the cost of capital. And meanwhile, the government doesn't really care how high the interest rate gets. They just pay whatever it takes to get the funding to provide deficit finance money for their own projects.
Yeah, we're in a really damaging cycle. What Judy just said, John, it's government trickle-down policies, right? I mean, that underlying household survey only went up 86,000 jobs. As Larry pointed out, part-time workers rose to 151,000, and those holding multiple jobs rose to 123,000. So people are getting multiple jobs due to the rising cost of living, 17.4% compounded under Biden. What do you think?
Well, Judy is right on. You know, it's a wonder we're not even doing better as an economy, given the fact that this federal budget deficit is approaching $2 trillion. It's 6% of GDP. My goodness, in the past, if you had a deficit at 6% of GDP, that would indicate the presence of a recession. And yeah, the composition of jobs matters. We got to look beyond the headline number. And I can't help but notice that over the past 3 months, we had something like 57% of all newly created jobs come from just several industries. They're called healthcare, private education, leisure and hospitality. And yet those groups account for only 27% of all outstanding jobs. One of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of jobs and hardly any wage growth is because the newly created jobs have been skewed towards lower paying categories like leisure and hospitality.
That's really interesting what John just said. So Biden cheering about jobs, and U.S. manufacturing is still in a contraction. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI down for the 12th straight month. U.S. ISM under 50 for the 11th straight month. Judy, the economy is growing at a flat 1 to 2%. Are you worried the Fed will hike rates next month? Because Wall Street titans like Bill Ackman, Ray Diallo, they're talking about those Treasury yields, you know, rising toward and popping towards 5%. That, you know, it feels like 1994 again when the bond, that bond crash in 94. What do you think, Judy? Final word.
Well, I think that the Fed, what they should be doing is asking themselves, does our model really work at all the way we thought? Because when Chair Powell announced that this was going to be rough, we're going to go from 0 interest rates to, he probably didn't even foresee 5.5. And the whole idea is that then you would have a tighter labor market, higher unemployment, it would hurt growth. And when you don't see that happening, I think what the Fed should be doing is saying, does our model make sense? Because otherwise, every time we get an uptick in inflation, they'll say, oh, let's just raise interest rates. And it turns out that's just doing the wrong thing. It's hurting supply. It's the excess demand created by fiscal that's causing the inflation. And then when monetary policy focuses on punishing the very people who could make supply increase, it's just a double whammy.
Great stuff. John Lonski, we're so sorry we ran out of time. John Lonski, Judy Shelton, thank you so much. Next time, we'll give you more time, John, okay? It's good to have you both on. Have a good weekend.